Okay, hi people. It's Angie, Angela Power Disney, Angie Power Disney, angelascashes.org, and Facebook, which has been on fire, Angela Teresa Power Disney. And this is totally impromptu, no script, just from the heart. Um, I have so many people across the world supporting me and praying for me. I just feel to do an update. I'm going to do a blog, including I outlined the targeting I've experienced since about 2002. Well, this particular phase of targeting, and that was uploaded in August. I'm going to reshare it in the blog and update it because I've always shied away from being a conspiracy theorist. I'm trained in journalism. I have a degree in English and a postgrad in sub-editing design under the features editor of the Irish Times, Maurice Sweeney. And I've shied away from conjecture. I don't publish anything unless at least two witnesses, preferably three, have corroborated it. But and I don't want to proclaim myself as a targeted individual or a victim of stalking and harassment. But it's coming time to just get honest. So since I updated with Lisa in August, it doesn't stop it. It just intensifies. So what I did was I just thought I better bite the bullet. I'm coming under such severe pressure locally in my own home, in my own small rural Irish town. I better just have the courage of my convictions and restate what I've been trying to expose since at least 2014, if not before. And so I emailed a chief superintendent and a local detective, and I said, I want to make a statement. I want to call on several first-hand witnesses and victims, um, and I would like you to investigate this. And I haven't heard anything back. And what happened since then was a youngster that myself and Aaron and many others tried to help turned out to be a honey trap, and I would venture to say, well, I won't put labels on, but very dangerous, who's had many advocates, child advocates, and survivors arrested, made many false allegations, and some very serious crimes against his name. So, first of all, he comes in, and myself and Aaron spent a vast amount of time interviewing him, editing, blogging, sharing, and even with that, he wasn't happy. He was like, "Why can't you interview me every Sunday? Like, what, why aren't you doing more interviews with me?" And I'm like, "Well, I've got your story out there. I've got my own things to deal with, and the next thing is your court update." But anyway, so and then after I'd reported to the chief superintendent and the local detective, I would like to re-document and report multiple crimes in Oldcastle, County Meath, Mount Nugent, County Cavan, um, and surrounding areas. I've been contacted about paedophile rings and ritual abuse as far afield as Cavan, Dublin, Limerick, and so on, but this is just my own backyard. And when I reached out by email to formally report again, all of a sudden this woman from Ballyjames, County Cavan, just comes at me like a bat out of hell, really, just crazy, and starts driving past my house, live streaming, doxing my address, standing outside my supermarket, my Garda barracks, live streaming, calling me a murderer, a paedophile, child trafficker, a groomer, God knows what else, and then absolutely blackens my name online. And of course, she tracked into, I think Terry Joyce was helping her, to be honest, and probably Karen Irving. You know, I've been trolled and targeted for years, years and years and years. Like I said, since 2002, when I ran a project for 13 vulnerable youngsters, and I worked with leader funding from Europe and coordinated with Youth Reach, coordinated with the Angarda Síochána, and you know, since then, really, I've been targeted because the children, youngsters, they were sort of 12 to 15-year-olds, even though there were 13 youngsters, I think it was 12 boys and one girl. 11 of the 13 got their lives back on track, and that was what I had hoped for the young man that myself and Aaron had been working with. So I've cut all contact with him. I put on private all our interviews, and the government have removed any other reference to him. Um, and but to be targeted like that, after I'd said again, I'm willing to re-report what is going on locally, which includes 2 murders, you know, probably 3, 4 rapists and paedophile ring and ritual abuse. You know, it's horrific. It's horrific. And I tried to adopt a policy of, excuse me, being vulgar, don't shit in your own backyard. And my grown children used to say to me, Mom, you know, it's fine covering the Hampstead case and the Anglesey case, but can you just not do it with, you know, youngsters that we played soccer with, you know, their dads or, you know, like people we know locally. And I have tried to abide by that, but this is getting too serious. So yesterday I had the guards come to my door and I'm kind of de-radicalizing myself a little bit because my my sense is that there are some good guards, some good social workers, some good judges, some good solicitors. The judicial system to me seems pretty messed up, but so 2 guards pulled up yesterday and I didn't know whether to start recording them and demanding that they identify themselves and I'm just so beaten down I didn't have the energy. So I just said like an Indian chief, do you come in peace? And they said, yes, yes, it's about the man that robbed you of 11,000. So I let them in. I didn't record them. And they just said, we found 2 sets of fingerprints on some of the evidence, and we just need to get your fingerprints to eliminate you so we know it's his fingerprints on the envelope that contained the cash. This man had found me a great camper van, a great bargain. I went to the credit union, withdrew 11,000 cash, put it in an envelope, and we were due to go imminently to view the camper van. And then I discovered he'd run away with it. I'm pretty shocked they haven't caught him yet. But it's just the way I got arrested in May on foot of what I believe was an engineered uh, harassment claim by my daughter. But I had already been, I'd had my windows smashed in, I'd had my phone robbed in broad daylight, we'd had tires slashed outside the house. This is stalking and harassment. This is gang stalking, whether the source is Freemasons or corrupt police or pedophiles or Satanists. It doesn't matter who's doing it. The point is, I'm being targeted off the charts and I'm documenting it. I'm documenting it. If nothing else, I'm documenting it. So, yeah, I went today and gave my fingerprints and sounded a bit hopeful. They still know that Paddy O'Brien of Gorey in Wexford is still in Ireland. using different fake names like Michael O'Connor, and some of the travelers call him Tom the Con. But it's just too much. It's too much coincidence. So reluctantly and not wanting to join the club of, oh, I'm a targeted individual. But uh, there's one more thing I'm going to say. Paddy Conroy is one of the biggest gangsters in England. And he has I don't follow him much anymore, but I checked back in. He's documented an intelligence services and corrupt police operation against him, which included some lunatic, much like the lunatic that came to my town, some very disturbed youngster driving a vehicle saying, noncing Paddy off, as he would have called it. Oh, Paddy used to take us in minibuses, and then he'd abuse us all, and this, that, and the other. And then he's had, they've nonced him off. They've tried to, there's been a targeted campaign against Paddy Conroy. And, I don't agree with everything he says at all. I hate his stance on victims. He tends, in my opinion, to favor the perpetrators. But I do believe he's documented very well what it's like to be targeted by rogue intelligence services and Freemasons, whether you call that in Ireland Opus Dei or Knights of Columbus or whatever, the Catholic version of Freemasons. It's alive and well in Ireland. And so I see, and because Paddy's documented it so well, it's like they'll nonce you off, they'll send people in on you, they'll send people that seem like friends, they want to help you. It's very random. Um, just it. I just relate to the operation that he's suffered and been persecuted by. And there's other people that document this kind of stuff. And again, they're not always people I agree with, but like Tommy Robinson and Katie Hopkins, like all of these probably have affiliations that I wouldn't have. But I see the pattern and I just wanted to document. There was one other part of, oh yes, it's the final part, right? One of the reasons I know I'm not imagining this is because when in 2001 and 2002, I ran a project for teenagers that were acting up, just joyriding, car stealing, looking like they would end up in juvie, whatever they call it, juvenile delinquent. In my youth, they used to call it Borstals. But anyway, so I ran a project for a year and a half with the help of 5 other people and leader funding and backing from the local headmaster and uh, like I said, Youth Reach and the JLOs. We were doing fantastic, but there was an outburst of an attack for 2 weeks where 2 of the 13 youngsters put a rumor out about the town that very similar accusations, oh, the only thing they did at the project was watch pornography, take drugs, and have sex with myself or my daughter. It was devastating because nothing could be further from the truth. And they even went so far as to graffiti in the town uh, against my daughter, who could only have been 15 at the time. So if I'm feeling the pain of this targeting, God knows what she felt. But when I caught up with these 2 out of the 13 youngsters and said, what are you doing? They broke down and they said the local guard threatened us if we didn't put this rumor out, he would get us banged up and we would be raped in St. Pat's. And we were scared. And they said, we're so sorry, Angie. And we'll tell everybody we were lying because we were threatened and we were scared. So I recognize this is a pattern. This is a pattern. If you offer, if rogue coppers, Gardaí, or intelligence services It's this catch and release. They get dirt on people, whether it's teenagers that have robbed a car or sold counterfeit money or whatever they've done. Then you've got them blackmailed. It's duplicated the same as Epstein and Diddy and Maxwell and all of that. They duplicate it, especially with vulnerable youngsters who just have had a trauma and gone off the rails a little bit in adolescence. So I recognize this latest attack. And literally, if I just summarize the last year, anybody that follows me, and if you do, please subscribe and like and all that, and share. But you will know that I've had like tires slashed, house smashed in, Molotov cocktail attempt, um, phone stolen in broad daylight, lunatic doxing me, accusations, total and utter character assassination. So I don't like to focus on the negative. I like to be jolly and positive, and but I do feel it was important to document this. I don't feel in fear of my life. It has kind of knocked me, and my health is pretty bad at the moment. I'm in hospital tomorrow again for a day surgery. So I'm down but not out. And I just don't have it in me. Yeah, because the same thing when I was working on that project and started discovering the corruption in the town, attempts were made to run me out of town. I was given 24 hours to leave Ireland. I was death threats have been a part of my work really since I went back online. Uh, Part-time since about 2009 and full-time since 2015, particularly covering the Hampstead case and the Anglesey case. I'm reluctant to cover the local cases. But it's like, if you're going to take me down, I'm going to go down shouting names and begging the good cops to please investigate, please. I have so much evidence, and I would appeal to the multiple victims who came forward to me and asked me at the time not to make their disclosures public. But it's time for that, that time is past. It's not a good enough excuse to say I'm scared. Um, if it to all the people that disclose to me, if you watch me go to jail for whistleblowing on your behalf as well as my own, and you still stay silent, well then I would just say shame on you. You know, and I don't want to shame you. You've been shamed enough. You've been tortured and tormented enough with what you've suffered. So I'll try and frame it more. Um, I'll just say it's time to speak up. It's time to speak up. It's time. If you look at the world around you and everything that's going on, the time to say I'm scared and I don't want to speak, and I have that. I get scared, and I've kept a lot of secrets, and it's not in my nature. We kept enough secrets as children. It's toxic to keep secrets. It's toxic. There's a balance. You can't disclose irresponsibly and recklessly, which sometimes I do with the injuries I have. But at the same time, staying silent is a much worse crime, in my opinion. I know there was a girl locally had the courage to take someone to court, and she had two fellow victims, and at the last minute they let her down. Now I think she's still got a conviction, and her family backed her 100%. But imagine you've been abused, and then you've got other victims that say, yes, me too, and I'll speak up. And then they say, I'm too scared to come to court. Sorry, I won't be there. You know? So I don't have a happy ending for right now, but I felt I'll do this blog. I'll put this out in a few days, and let's make let's make a just ending by no man is an island. You can't just leave me get thrown to the dogs and say, oh, well, you should have stayed quiet. It's not fair. It's not fair. Like when my sisters and I were being horrendously abused, the older three of us ran away once and we walked about a mile and we were only about 9, 8, and 7. But then when we'd walked about a mile on our way to find a policeman to tell what was happening to us, my elder sister said, oh, we better not tell. Daddy might go to jail and we'll be put in an orphanage. And my older sister persuaded us all to turn back and go home. And that's not the path to healing. You know, we might not get justice in this world, but we need to be able to go to sleep knowing that we did everything we could to protect our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, nephews, godchildren, any children in our circle. If you want to rest easy, please, it's time to wake up. Not just wake up, because faith without works is dead. It's time to take action and speak up. And I would ask particularly the multiple victims that gave me testimonies regarding Mount Nugent, Loch Sheelin, Oldcastle, Loch Crew. You know who you are. I would implore you to please be ready to come forward. And I would also be happy to ask of the 13 youngsters that myself and the other 5 volunteers helped for a year and a half, be prepared to give testimony. Be prepared to be asked, you know, did you ever feel in danger? Was there any truth in the 2-week rumor that was thrown around the town? Did it help you change your life, turn your life around? Just be prepared. Revelation says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, which is the once off sacrifice of Jesus, the word of our testimony, which is saying what happened to you, and that we did not fear for our lives, even unto death. So that's it. Please like, share, subscribe, check the description, and my car's off the road. If you can support in any way the work that we do, there's a GoFundMe link in the box. Thank you. I'm going to end this and call back.